I'm Marcus Neubacher, and I took off Friday, January 6th for the deadhead move of the NW 611 as it moved from Roanoke down to the North Carolina Transportation Museum here in Spencer. During the chase that day, I was with our executive director, Kelly Alexander, who actually drove my vehicle to some of the sites so that I could be in the back seat taking photographs and video as we moved along. But Kelly had another reason she wanted to go besides just getting the documentation for us. Her husband, Sandy Alexander, is the locomotive engineer on the 611 that day and often is on these trips. We left Salisbury about 8 a.m. on Friday morning, and that was about the same time that 611 left Roanoke, so it gave us a good 2 hours or so to get to Hurt, and we pulled in just as the locomotive was coming around the connection. Hurt, Virginia is a small community, about halfway or so between Lynchburg and Danville. There's a connection track there that allowed the Southern Railway trains to access the Norfolk and Western on the former Virginian line. Got there just in time for the 611 to come around the curve, flying its Cubs for the win flags, coming up the connection track headed for the Southern Railway. Our next stop was near Chatham, Virginia. We tried to get ahead of the train and ended up just barely getting to Chatham in time, which is a station location. There's a Southern Railway station there. And we pulled in just as the 611 was rounding the curve and whistled through town. The train was moving along quite well, and we heard that they would be stopping for 3 freight trains, so we ended up grabbing a bite to eat. Typical rail fan lunch. So take your lunch when you get an opportunity to. And we did that right after the train went through Chatham. After lunch, we found our way into the Danville station and got some video of the train as it pulled across the Dan River Bridge and past currently the Amtrak station there. We decided there to go live on our Facebook feed to share the actual move in real time as it came by the Danville station. It can be tough to chase this route, and although we did get a few quick shots along the way, next place we actually set up and had some time was at Brown Summit, North Carolina, where it's a small community. There's an old store there. Got a pretty neat video from a local business parking lot, and got a chance to see the 611 come through town there. We decided to pass Greensboro. We went around Greensboro because it can be really tough to get in and out of there, and all rail fans kind of know pick your chase locations based on traffic. So we jumped ahead to Thomasville and stopped by the visitor center there. Got a look at the display that they have inside the visitor center that shows train locations, and had a few minutes to set up and got some live video again of the 611 coming by the visitor station and by what is known as the Thomasville Rail Cam. And people got a chance to see that live as well, either from our video or from the cam video. The chase from Thomasville to the Yadkin River, which is our next desired spot, can be tough, but luckily for us, the 611 move got delayed by a freight train that pulled out just in front of it, coming out of Linwood. So we had a few extra minutes, watched a freight train go by, and then just as the snow was starting, the 611 came around the curve and marching up the hill, heading for Spencer. With the 611 arriving at Spencer late in the afternoon on Friday, the steam operations crew and the 611 crew had to get the locomotive ready for its inspection. They took the tender off, had to separate the tender from the locomotive, which will be a part of the inspection, and that was done all late at night as everyone else had left. Steam Operations Corporation, Zach McGinnis, shared his video of the 611 as it was put on the turntable on Saturday morning. The museum was actually closed. It's a tough job with about 6 inches of snow on the ground that folks around here aren't used to that anyway. Thanks to a crew of our volunteers and their volunteers and staff members, it was a successful move to get the locomotive undercover and into a bay for its first round of work starting later that day. It's the annual Federal Railroad Administration inspection that's being done here at Spencer. Part of that will include servicing the operating valves, inspecting the running gear, inspecting piston valves, and required air brake work that has to be completed. Scott Lindsay, the Chief Mechanical Officer with the Virginia Museum of Transportation, is on site here at Spencer along with his crew, taking care of the whole inspection process. This 611 will be on site here at the North Carolina Transportation Museum until our spring excursions. So we'll have locomotive all the way through April, most of the time probably inside the roundhouse for the work that's being completed. But it will be here on site and visible for our visitors to take a look at as they're doing the work. Of course, all of this is due to our partnership with the Virginia Museum of Transportation. We've enjoyed this partnership for several years. ever since the locomotive was rebuilt here at Spencer in 2014 and 15, and then took to the rails for its excursion seasons shortly thereafter.